Welcome to the HJC Podcast, powered by HockeyJerseyConcepts.com. New episodes go live every Saturday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. Good day, everyone. This is episode 25 of the HJC Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan, and on today's podcast, we will be ranking the jerseys of pro hockey in Atlanta, inspired by our Friday writer, TC. We're going to be ranking the pro hockey jerseys in Atlanta. We're also talking about our favorite jerseys from the week, posted on HockeyJerseyConcepts.com. Fake or Authentic, the Mailbag, Throwback Throwdown, and your chance to win an exclusive HJC sticker. But that's coming up later. Let's see who we got on the show. As expected, usual, Monday's writer, Shawn. What's been going on in the last week, Shawn?
We've had a joke of a nor'easter over here in Halifax, and the Jets have their first 100-point season. 4 more points, and they'll top the Leafs for best season record.
And that's what's important, right?
Well, I mean, we're not going to go for the Detroit Red Wings record of something like 120. I mean, don't be ridiculous. Set our standards low. We need our first playoff win.
Well, it looks like they'll be playing Minnesota or maybe St. Louis if they keep this up, but
it's a sweep.
Okay, wow, going out on a limb there, saying you'll sweep. Very interesting. I love that the East Coast of North America is getting lots of snow now, and Toronto is just sitting pretty. 5 degrees Celsius today. Get your Googlers out to figure that out in Fahrenheit. Also on the show, Tuesday's writer, Ben. What's been going on, Ben?
I've been doing much better than my Frozen 4 bracket.
Lots of craziness.
Yeah, the first 4 games today, I only got one of them right, and that game went to overtime. So I guess we'll see how the rest goes. I'm
going to come right out. I know nothing about college sports because I just don't care enough. But where is the Frozen 4 held this year?
It's going to be at the Excel Center in Minneapolis.
Okay. And is it like the basketball where don't they get basketball teams get new jerseys for the tournament, don't they?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, so hockey doesn't do the same, do they?
You don't even know you're making the tournament until a week before it happens, usually. It'd be a little hard to get a jersey in that time.
I wish there was more coverage of the Frozen 4 tournament up here in Canada or any U.S. college hockey. I mean, TSN tried to do it a couple years ago. Obviously, it didn't work out for them, but a little more coverage or just some sort of easily accessible network that was advertised a little better up here in Canada, I think could really catch on. And maybe some games between Canadian universities and American college teams, or even American college teams and like OHL teams or WHL teams. That could be pretty cool. Also on the show today, Friday's writer, TC. What's going on, man?
Not much. Just getting over a pretty lovely case of bronchitis.
Woo, yeah.
Yeah, beyond that, excited to be back on the podcast.
Yeah, and of course, this one's inspired by you. Atlanta pro hockey jersey history.
I know. I could not be happier.
All right, so everyone's here and accounted for. Let's get started. All right, so we're talking about pro hockey jerseys in Atlanta hockey history. We're each going to choose a couple and go over them. Let's start with Monday's writer, Shawn. Shawn, what's the first jersey you picked out? And just give us a few points on why it caught your attention.
All right, when you talk Atlanta hockey history, your first thought is obviously going to be the Thrashers. And when you think Thrashers, there is one jersey you think of, and that is the baby blue alternate 2006-2007 home.
Pre-edge.
Pre-edge. That's the key thing.
Yeah,
pre-edge.
I also prefer the pre-edge. Go ahead.
That is just the perfect example of a hockey team taking a risk in a design and it paying off. The Atlanta arm stripe, had that team continued on, I think would have become a staple of design for Thrashers jerseys in the future. On top of that, the beak/arrow design on the hem looked fantastic. And it was one of the few jerseys, I think, that pulled off that mesh look that Coho was going for at the time.
Yeah, I agree on all that points. And for me, that jersey has appreciated with age. It's done a lot better. Really enjoyed that jersey even more from when it first came out. Let's go to Ben with your first choice for your favorite Atlanta jersey.
My first choice, I'm going to go out of the NHL into the ECHL for the Atlanta Gladiators, and specifically I'm going to go for their black home jersey. I think it's a little bit stronger than the white jersey, but it's real close. What I think I like most about this are those diamond patterns around the hem and the sleeve. I think it really stands out against other ECHL teams. I really like when teams can put a pattern into their jersey, not just solid stripes. And I think this one worked really well. And the rest of the colors really sold this. I think the crest logo is a little weak, but overall this is a solid jersey.
And that, I also had that jersey on my list too. I also enjoyed the Captain's C, which was angled much like the diamond pattern in the hem stripes and arm stripes. It's an actual font. I think it's called Kirsty or Thirsty something or other. But yeah, it looked pretty cool on the jersey. Let's go to our Georgia native TC and your first choice for your favorite Atlanta hockey jersey.
My favorite Atlanta hockey jersey is the only Atlanta hockey jersey that I have in my collection. It is the Thrashers pre-edge white jersey. I love the yoke, the extended yoke with that. They had it, the extended yoke on the edge version. Yes, fine, but they got lazy with the way that they created the pattern on it. With this jersey, when you wear it and hold your arms out, it looks like you have wings and you can just flap like a champion and feel like the best thrasher in the world. And as Shawn said earlier, beak, diamond, whatever, no one really knows what it is, pattern that is on the hem is something that is so uniquely Thrashers, and it lets you know who it is. It was actually so distinct that I was watching an episode of How I Met Your Mother, and they were wearing the jersey without the crest on it, and yes. I automatically knew, oh, they're using old Thrashers jerseys.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember that episode or episodes. Yeah, definitely. I'm going to go with the original blue jersey, the road jersey for the Thrashers. I don't know what you call that logo on the front, if you want to call that the Thrasher or the T logo, but that's my favorite Thrashers logo. Just like you said, TC, the arm striping is fantastic. It's like a standard sleeve striping, but then they added some modern kind of creativity to it. The colors are fantastic, and the arrow design or diamond design, whatever you want to call it, on the hem, and especially the collar is just a really solid aspect of that jersey. Let's mix it up. Ben, we'll go to you. Do you have a second choice?
Yeah, my second choice is going to be a throwback. I'm going to go all the way back to the Atlanta Flames. I'm going to pick their red jersey. I think this one, it doesn't have the yellow on white issue that the white jersey has. You really can't say, too little about this. It's a classic hockey jersey. The colors are great. They pop out nicely against each other. It's I think that logo is now classic in hockey history. When the team moved to Calgary, of course they had to have an homage to that. Yeah,
and that's the sign of a good logo. Usually most teams might not recognize or want to recognize that they've moved from another location, but Dallas. But, the logo was so solid that, I love when Calgary uses it as their alternate captain logo. Let's go to TC for your second choice.
My second choice, I'm going to have to follow suit and do a throwback, but I'm going to go with the 1972-73 Flames white jersey. As much as I love the red, I kind of think that the logo pops a little better when it's red and yellow used for the flame, and I really like the red yoke and the red and white striped collar. I think looks a lot sharper on the white jersey than it does on the red.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the two jerseys that Ben and TC just mentioned, the original 72, 73 jerseys, the stripes are a lot broader, and it really differentiates these jerseys from the jerseys that the Calgary Flames adopted and are more well known for than the Atlanta Flames were. So, if I wanted an Atlanta Flames throwback jersey, it would be the original 72 jerseys that I'd go with. Shawn, we've covered a lot of NHL Atlanta jerseys. Do you have any choices left for your second choice?
I do, and as much as I'd like to give some love to the Atlanta Gladiators Flames Throwback, they haven't worn that since they changed their name.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to throw some love to a jersey I don't think gets enough credit in Thrashers history, and that is the Edge Away jersey. The reason being is because it is the only jersey the Thrashers ever wore, in my opinion, that actually balanced their complex color scheme well.
I just can't agree with you there.
Here's the thing. This is the one Edge template that I actually quite like.
I think the Atlanta Flames or the Atlanta Thrashers jerseys on the Edge switchover, aside from what Pittsburgh, Ottawa, and Tampa Bay all did together, just demonstrate the lack of originality or lack of willingness to create that Reebok was known for in the early days of the Edge system. So I just can't agree with you on that one.
I'd completely agree with you on the blue one. And the motocross is Chris Chelios wore it. That's all I have to say on the motocross. But
the motocross, you got to appreciate that they stepped out of the box. It still sucked though.
And they made a maroon jersey. That's the other thing about the motocross, is that it was the only time that Atlanta ever thought, let's make a maroon jersey. And actually, had they put a logo on it, I think would not be a bad jersey, because the template itself, I don't think is that bad if you add blue cups to it.
That was a lot of alterations that you just made to make it decent. So.
I love the jersey. Let me just completely redesign it.
But as for the Edge Away, which is the jersey I originally picked, yeah, I think that for a team that they were notorious for not being able to balance their color scheme, that I think at one point had 7 colors in it.
Yeah, well, the logo,
they were able to fit it pretty well. And I think, and it comes back to their original jerseys too, is that had they made a inverse version of their road jersey where it was blue with the white arms, I think that would actually look really nice.
It could, and that would be interesting to see. Okay, as far as my second choice, Shawn, you mentioned it. I was going to go off the board, so it wasn't really Atlanta, but the Gwinnett Gladiators did an Atlanta Flames throwback, which was more of a Calgary Flames throwback because it's the jersey they used, but that looked pretty solid. But I will give credit to the Atlanta Knights of the USPHL back in the early 90s. Very basic uniform, very minor league kind of 80s uniform. But
Ryan, was that not the IHL?
It might have been the IHL. When I looked it up, it was the USPHL. But it might have been the IHL.
The USPHL team's a current team, and they change their jerseys every year. I know the ones you're thinking of, the black with the teal with the Ranger-style numbers.
Whoever, what's her name?
Yeah.
Manon Rayon played for.
IHL, I think, are the ones you're
IHL
thinking of, Ryan.
Okay. Anyways, I love the light blue because it's pretty much, they're sort of Tampa Bay jerseys, but the light blue with the black looked pretty good. Logo was, you might as well call it a clip art logo, but it was what you get from minor league hockey in the 80s. But it has stuck in my mind for all these years. I remember going through the Hockey News yearbook and seeing the jerseys and seeing a long distance number that you could call to order the jersey. And that just sticks in my mind. So there must have been something about the jersey that was good to have it stick in my mind for this long. So there we covered, there was not a lot of choice in the Atlanta pro hockey jersey ranks, but I think we did a pretty good job. Does anybody else have any other jerseys, or do we cover all your selections?
I think that in TC mentioning the 72-73 jerseys, that pretty much nails them all. The Knights are mentioned. Got to throw some love to the Fire Ants, though. I mean, they're not a ice hockey team, but
is that roller hockey? Was that roller hockey?
That's the Roller Hockey International team.
RHI.
Oh, it was a glorious, glorious jersey. The most cartoonish you could think of. It was a literal fire ant wearing a smaller version of the jersey on roller skates. They actually had enough roller skates for each leg. So it was 2 sets of skates.
That's good. Someone's thinking about the logic of that jersey.
Yeah, if you're going to pull it off, you have to pull it off well. And then the rest of it was just fire coming from the cuffs and hem. It was the most beautifully 90s jersey. I would hate to see it on the ice, but for a 90s jersey in a roller hockey league, which was in and of itself something that could only happen in the 90s, I think it's perfect.
That was with the blue floors, I think. I remember seeing that on TV, and it was the Florida team, I think. I don't know. Someone had their home games. I don't know. Someone had their home games at Disney, I think. And I just remember seeing the blue floor, and the league was endorsed by Gretzky because I think the players wore Wayne Gretzky rollerblades or something like that. But I'm doing a quick check here on icejerseys.com. And first off, Ice Jerseys, get your shit together because you're labeling a Thrashers throwback as a Flames throwback as Atlanta Flames vintage replica jersey 1971. According to everything else, the Atlanta Flames weren't around in 1971. They came in 1972. And also the jersey you're trying to push on us as a 71 throwback is actually a 74 throwback. But thanks, Ice Jerseys and CCM, for getting your...
You stupid bitches.
Thanks for getting your collective shits together and having a just for fun free blog point out your mistake. You guys should be the one catching this, not us. But that's awesome.
Throw all those Flames jerseys into your discount section, and we'll ignore it.
Yeah, go ahead. Anyways, we'll keep
take
making
them off your hands.
Yeah. I wear 2XL Ice jerseys because I know you guys listen to this podcast. And I actually love your site. And I just noticed that mistake right now. But if you want to make it up to us, I wear a 2XL. And I'll do a YouTube video about it. Anyways, let's move on to our next segment where we talk about what some of our favorite concepts from this past week on hockeyjerseyconcepts.com or even notable concepts. So let's get to that. You're listening to the HJC podcast every Saturday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern on hockeyjerseyconcepts.com. Listen, download, and subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, Spreaker, Stitcher, and TuneIn Radio. And before we get to our favorite jerseys from the week on hockeyjerseyconcepts.com, I must remind you that if you want to win a free HJC sticker, hop on Twitter, pay attention to our Twitter feed, because at some point in the coming week, you will see a tweet with a direct link to the podcast and mentioning that you can win a free sticker. And you can win the free sticker simply by retweeting that tweet. Liking the tweet does nothing. You have to retweet that tweet. And once you do, you'll be entered to win a free sticker. And this week's sticker is a very exclusive HJC unofficial uniform sticker. It's from the Jersey Casual line. And it's inspired by the Buffalo Sabres Turd Burger jersey, which is the unofficial uniform of the HJC writer. So this week you have a chance to win that. So simply retweet the tweet that is coming up this week, and you'll be entered for your chance to win that sticker. And this week's past winner of the HJC sticker is Vaughn R. So Vaughn, be sure to get in touch with us and tell us where we can ship your sticker. So Vaughn, get in touch with us. We'll ship a sticker out to you. So let's get started now on the favorite jersey posted in the past week on hockeyjerseyconcepts.com. Shawn, I'll start with you.
The unfortunate and awkward thing is that the concept I am going to be reviewing here belongs to somebody in the podcast.
Uh-oh.
Yep, and TC's already smiling because he knows which one it is. It was TC's 2019 Winter Classic concept from this week. not really to discredit the Bruins part of it, but I mean, we've seen it before, and we know it's going to happen. But that Blackhawks jersey, particularly the use of the black, the lightened red and tan, looked fantastic. And the tan socks, I think, are really what made that concept. I could see that it actually made me go, I'm glad the Blackhawks are playing another Winter Classic game, despite them not being a relevant team.
And just for everyone listening, that was on last Wednesday's post. So, Ben, if you have a jersey from the week that you'd like to point out, go ahead.
I did, and sadly this one didn't get seconded, but it was from my post on Tuesday. It was Taylor R's Clarkson University. First off, screw Clarkson for losing today, costing me more points in my bracket, which is already doing awful. Okay, anyway, I really liked this one. I usually don't like black for black's sake, but I think Taylor did a pretty good job here of bringing in black as accents on the jerseys. I wish he kept the pants and the helmet green, but otherwise I really liked how the colors popped on this one. I think his logo choice was good, and it's I'm kind of upset no one seconded it.
All right, TC, is there a notable concept from this week you'd like to point out?
My notable concept of the week, oh dearest boss man, was your very own Florida Panthers concept from last Monday.
Uh-oh, here we go.
I actually really enjoyed it. Usually when I think of a Panthers alternate, I'm looking for something that's blue. But you know what? You made the red work. I love the updated Jumping Panther logo. I've always enjoyed that logo. It was so frightening as a child to see that crazy panther jumping at you. I think that the shoulder patches actually work really well. Patches on this one. You did a great job keeping the gear simple, and in spite of that horrific split collar, I think what really saves this one is just the little bit of blue that is added by the cuffs on the jersey. I think that really saves it from being overly red. So I do think that was one of my favorite concepts of the week.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And while we got the time, I'll point out a couple things from the jersey. Just based on Florida's financial situation, I decided I probably should have noted these things on the concept. I always tell people to note things on their concept. But just based on Florida's financial situation, I would be thinking they wouldn't want to introduce any new equipment elements. So the gloves, the pants, and the helmet are all actually from their current home set. Like TC said, the updated Leaping Panther logo is pretty strong, so I wanted to use that. That was my best way to use the Adidas collar. And the basic striping is actually not based on the Hawks, but rather based on the previous Florida Panthers socks. So that's what's going on there. Just thought we'd take a little chance to do the background on it. Now I'm going to reciprocate that, and my notable concept from the week was TC's Snoopy concept from Thursday. And I noted this because it's a really fun concept. There doesn't have to be anything specific about it. It's clearly well executed, and you can see it has design elements inspired by the Peanuts gang. I guess that's what you call them. But I thought it was just a fun jersey, and I know TC would probably love to win concept of the week, but this one isn't going out of the way to try and win concept of the week. I don't think TC was probably thinking about, I'm going to win concept of the week while designing this thing. I might be wrong, but it's just a fun concept. You can see it's inspired. It's well thought out, and it's stuff like this that I would like to see more of on the blog. I think it's something fun and creative, and I think that inspires other people. So that was my notable concept from the week. Any words on your Snoopy concept, TC?
Yeah, that was definitely one that I was not looking to win any contests with. I was actually surprised that it got as good of a grade as it did. It was just something I was looking at some random article online, and it just ended up, I was looking at the design on Charlie Brown's shirt, and I was just said, you know what? I would like to make a jersey at striping pattern. And so I found it, I threw it together, and not the longest time I've taken on a concept. Let's just leave it at that. And it worked out surprisingly well.
Nothing wrong with that, though. I mean, if someone has an idea, throw it together. Like my son, back in the day, used to watch Thomas the Tank Engine, and I always thought, okay, it'd be cool because all the engines are numbered and make a series of concepts for it. And it wasn't meant to be, this is an awesome concept. It was just an idea, and I wanted to get it out there. And I think we need more of that on the blog. Less worrying about winning concept of the week and more thinking about just being inspired and creating something fun. And that's what I would love to see more of on the blog. So,
fun fact about Thomas the Tank Engine, both Ringo Starr and George Carlin have narrated it.
Yes, that's true. The conductor.
Another fun fact, the reason why there are so many twins in that show is because, Ryan, you're supposed to buy the toys, and you can't have one without the other.
Yes.
Well done. Well done. Yep. Oh, that's what, yes, having, I don't know how many, I think we have a much younger audience, but having to have kids, that's the MO of most kids shows. Introduce as many characters as possible, make them as integral as possible so that the kids buy the toys. And if you got a show, there's a show out there, Paw Patrol. I'm sure some people know it. It's not creating new characters in that show. It's putting the characters in different gear. So now the kids have to buy the Sea Paw Patrol, the Spy Paw Patrol, the regular Paw Patrol, the Jungle Paw Patrol. We got too many Paw Patrol toys in the house. Anyways,
the HJC Paw Patrol.
The HJC Paw Patrol, where they're all wearing real shitty jerseys. Anyways, that was notable jerseys from this week on HockeyJerseyConcepts.com. Let's get to Throwback Throwdown. Okay, the theme of this Throwback Throwdown is 90s rebrands. So we have the St. Louis Blues 95 rebrand going up against the 1993 Hartford Whalers rebrand. So let's look at the Blues rebrand. This was blue road jersey, white home jersey, obviously it's the 90s. And this is where they introduced a ton of red on their blue jersey. Angled stripes, outlined in one thick yellow stripe, and then 4 thin yellow stripes. That's both on the arm and the hem. And it also had the angled numbers going in line with the stripes. This is the jersey Gretzky wore. And then there was the white home version. And this is going up against the Hartford Whalers 93 rebrand, which is when they went with a blue road jersey and gray cuffs and hem on both the blue and white jersey. The logo was also outlined with gray or silver, I guess you'd call it. It was kind of a shiny crest. And then that's trimmed in blue. And the blue also changed from a regular blue to a more navy blue. So focus taken away from green and more put on blue here. But let's go with Shawn and your first review of the St. Louis set.
This is a jersey that I think at the time was perfectly fitting and now has come back as perfectly retro. I love these jerseys. I mean, the shoulder patch itself alone is something I wish the team had kept. The striping is amazing. I like the Blues having red in their color scheme over double blue and over the 70s jerseys. This is my favorite Blues color scheme. My biggest complaint with it, however, is the softer corners on the Blues logo. I feel like by updating that, you really get some nice looks going here. And on top of that, while some numbers do look good in that sort of squished font, some of them really don't. So it's a very inconsistent font, I think. Hull looks great. Twist looks great. Gretzky, not so much.
All right, Ben, thoughts on the Blues? They're not the Blues in general, because you may not like them being a Red Wings fan, but just this jersey from the 95 rebrand.
Yeah, this rebrand, I can't understate how much I hate this. I was doing some research before the podcast, actually, and they actually opened their current stadium in this year, so I can see why they'd want to freshen up their look moving out of an old arena, and this just totally... I think my biggest problem with this is the red, especially on the blue jersey. I think it's meant to just be an accent, but with it on the lower portion of the hem, it becomes the secondary color, and I think the yellow is just overkill at that point. I think they should just drop red from their scheme entirely. There are teams that can pull off the triadic scheme, like the Colorado Eagles we were talking about the other week, and the numbers are just absolutely awful. They look terrible on the back. They're inconsistent, and even the TV numbers were italicized in a weird way. I think that this jersey really should not ever have existed.
TC, thoughts on St. Louis here?
It's sort of a split review for me. The white home jersey, I actually don't dislike that much. I think it's at the point where the red is more of an accent instead of being so dominant. On the blue one, I absolutely hate it. I hate it so much. They're taking a color that wasn't in their scheme and putting it over the yellow, which was in their scheme, and it just doesn't work. As has been stated before, those numbers are atrocious. They're just squished up onto each other. They're almost unreadable, and I think they just threw too many stripes on that bottom hem and on the arms. I think there are too many thin stripes. It's a lot to deal with, and I know that the great one wore these, but I'm going to call these the not so great ones.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with the overall thought here. What I would do with these jerseys is rip off the shoulder patches, save those, and just burn the rest to the ground, because this is I find both sets suffer from the same thing, and that's what I would call 90s for 90s sake. The teams didn't know they were doing it at the time, but now with 2020 hindsight and history being what it is, these are just 90s jerseys, just trying to find something that fit with the times, and maybe it worked but at the time, but now it looks atrocious. As everyone said, the massive amount of red on the blue jersey is a head shaker. The white jersey, I guess, is least objectionable. The numbers are stupid. They're squished. They're angled. They're ridiculous. So I would just say the shoulder patch trumpet logo is the only good thing to come out of these, and get rid of the rest of it. So let's go to their opponent, the 1993 Hartford Whalers rebrand. Shawn, your thoughts on this one?
The logo update, I think, is quite nice. However, these are the weakest Hartford Whalers jerseys ever worn. For starters, there's no pucky. Following from the lack of pucky, there's the fact that the darkening of the color scheme, while it really benefited the Navy jersey, and I love this Navy jersey, the white jersey is the worst example of color balancing I have ever seen an NHL team attempt in history. I cannot emphasize how simple it was for the Hartford Whalers to make blue cuffs and blue dominant hems here, and they went with keeping it gray. It's almost unfathomable that an NHL team would consider this when it is so simple to make a matching set. It really is one of those things where if it was a matching set, it probably wouldn't be the weakest set, but because that white jersey is so, it's mostly white and gray. It's like a whiteout jersey almost. On top of that, the teams were terrible during that era, so you know what? I'm very mixed on them.
All right, Ben, follow that up.
It's a lot of something for something's sake. You mentioned this earlier. 90s for 90s sake, gray for gray sake, change for change sake. This jersey just did not need to exist. I think it went from like a classic retro that we all love now to something that's just kind of meh. I don't think the gray adds anything. I think it really takes away from the logo. It could be much more simplistic with just a green and blue W and a fin. Like Shawn said, the white jersey is awful, terrible color balancing. The blue jersey isn't quite as bad, but not something I want to spend money on.
And TC.
Screw you, Ben. I have spent money on that. I actually have that jersey sitting in my closet right now. I do like that blue jersey. I like it a lot. I think the logo was unnecessary. I think they definitely could have kept it without all the gray in there. I think it gets a lot of unnecessary hate because of what it was changed from, and I do prefer the green jersey. There's no debating. It's a classic look, but in a vacuum, that blue jersey isn't bad. The white jersey, it's all been said before. You know, the color balance is horrific. It's almost as bad as Nashville's current away jerseys.
Yeah, these jerseys, again, like I said before, it's 90s for 90s sake. I despised what they did with the logo and the thick gray or silver background. It doesn't matter what it is. The gray on the sleeves is such a 90s move, unnecessary. The colors look phenomenal, but are just used terribly, I think, in these jerseys. I really enjoy the number font on these jerseys. It's the best thing that I think happened. And I think the Plymouth Whalers showed us what a green version of this could look like and how much better it would have been. So, again, like I said with St. Louis, just take the shoulder patches and burn the rest down. For this one, just take the numbers and burn the rest down. Not a fan of either of these, and just not a fan at all of the placement of the colors. So let's go to Shawn for your winner, St. Louis or Hartford?
I'm giving this to St. Louis by a mile.
Ben?
This is so much a winner as a not loser, but I think I'm going to go with Hartford.
All right, TC?
I'm going to go with Hartford as well. I can't get over all that red.
All right, and I'm going to give it to Hartford. They win 3-1 here. Both jerseys are just trash. Unfortunately, the rules state we have to pick a winner. So I'm going to pick Hartford, and that number font outweighs St. Louis's trumpet logo. So there you go. The winner of this week's Throwback Throwdown, the Hartford Whalers 1993 rebrand. Fake or authentic, everybody's favorite part of the show. This is where I give 3 statements, and the writers choose whether or not the statement is fake or authentic, just like half of the jerseys you see at the games nowadays. Fake or authentic? Here we go. Statement number 1, fake or authentic? I saw the hidden H in the Whalers logo right away. Not 10 years later like Bloggadman Ryan. Shawn, fake or authentic?
I have to say fake, Ryan, but it's no fault in yours because I'm young enough that people caught on and started in a similar way to the hidden baseball glove and the Milwaukee Brewers logo. I grew up in a time where that was explained to you right away and you were expected to know that. I had people actually say, there's a hidden H in it, instead of, oh, it's the Hartford Whalers logo. Because again, I was 1 when the Hartford Whalers relocated.
Ben, is this fake or authentic for you?
It's fake for me as well. I should have spotted it a lot sooner than I did.
How long did it take you, Ben, to see that H? Or was it pointed out to you, or what?
It must have been pointed out to me because I'm usually oblivious to stuff like that.
TC, fake or authentic for you?
I'm going to go authentic, mainly because again, much like Shawn, I was only 4 when they located. So by the time I was actually I hadn't been watching hockey because, again, I was 4. My parents controlled the remote. They didn't like hockey. So by the time I was actually aware that there was a franchise that was once known as the Hartford Whalers, I was old enough to see it fairly soon. And it was one of those, almost that moment where you're looking at one of those magic eye posters and you see the sailboat. It was one of those moments oh my God.
And as the statement says, it took me a long time to discover that H. I remember being a kid looking at this logo and actually wondering, why does the green W not touch the whale tail? And I'm staring right at it right there. And it's like, nope. 10-year-old me and my little undeveloped brain could not discover the hidden H that I was staring right at and wanted to cover up.
Ryan, if it makes you feel better, it took me 10 years to get a joke in Family Guy. Which is saying something because it's not a particularly smart show. But there's a joke in the first episode that it took me 10 years to realize that there was a joke.
Awesome. Thank you for...
So don't feel too bad.
Yeah,
everybody's oblivious.
I don't feel bad.
Don't explain the joke. Just talk about the joke and don't tell us what it was.
Yeah, we're just going to leave it there, and everyone will enjoy that. Let that sit in your palate for a while. We'll go to statement number 2. You're a douche if you wear a tinted visor to your beer league. Shawn, fake or authentic?
I thought that question was just going to end with you're a douche and you're authentic.
Fake or authentic? All right, going to the other writers. Fake or authentic? Shawn is a douche.
Authentic all the way, and I'll admit it.
Shawn wears a tinted visor for his beer league.
No, I wear a Kyle McLaren yellow visor.
For a second, I thought you were going to say, no, I wear a cock ring.
Tonight on the HJC podcast, Shawn's a douche and TC gets out the cock ring.
And the best part, in the change room, no one would need to know that. You could hide that. And then you just have to step up and be like, boys, tonight, I'm wearing a cock ring.
Cup check.
Cup check. So to answer your question, Ryan, it depends. Like if you go to like Goodwill and you find one like a 10-year-old tinted visor helmet and it's in good shape and you buy that because you want a cheap helmet, that's fine. But if you show up and you're like, hey guys, I got a tinted visor, hey, you're a douche.
Do not buy a helmet from Goodwill. Whatever you do, get to your local whatever Dick's Sporting Goods or Play It Again Sports in Canada, Canadian Tire. Get one of those helmets. Do not get a helmet from Goodwill. Just protective issues, head lice issues, general other people's sweat issues. You don't know which one of those players was wearing a cock ring while wearing that helmet. Anyways, let's get to Ben. Are you a douche if you wear a tinted visor to your beer league game?
I have to say fake. It depends, like Shawn. I have to say, though, I'm from... My background in hockey is college, so no one's wearing a visor except the refs. Everyone's wearing a full shield, and that's what I'm used to. So
okay, so what if someone showed up with a chrome cage?
Yeah, no.
Those are great. What are you talking about?
All right, Shawn, you're a douche. That's official. TC, is someone a douche if they wore a tinted visor for the beer league?
100%. It doesn't matter what league you're in. The freaking game is played indoors, you asshat. You don't need a tinted visor. You don't need sunglasses. Hockey helmet. You just... I'm sorry.
45%.
It's not
the
like
glare from the lights.
Yeah, it's not like the TV.
You're looking for a black thing on white surface. It's really not that hard. You don't need the tint.
Look, if Vesatoskala had a tinted goalie mask, he never would have let in that shot. All right, so you know what?
That's NHL. I'm talking beer leagues here, C division, Sunday night game. You know, you and a bunch of 30 and 40-year-old men just getting a skate on, and here comes the next friggin' Alex Ovechkin with his tinted visor and his $300 gloves and his $400 twigs that he tapes up each game, skating circles around everyone. That guy's a douche.
Thanks for describing last weekend, Ryan. You know, it's nice. This is a very specific example, Ryan.
And also,
not to name names, shit.
And also, if you stand up in the middle of the dressing room and tell everyone you're wearing a cock ring, you're a douche. Moving on to statement number.
That was just common courtesy.
Just heads up out there, everyone. I'm wearing a cock ring, so let's take it easy, okay? Statement number 3, fake or authentic. The Predators' alternate jersey next season will be so good that it will inspire a future home and road set. Shawn, fake or authentic?
I'm going to say fake, not because it's outside the realm of possibility, but because I don't see Nashville going back to a blue jersey.
Ben?
It's hard to say because I'm trying to picture like what Nashville is going to come up with. Are they going to go for a blue jersey, or are they just going to double down on them being the yellow team in the NHL? So, I guess I'll have to say authentic because I think their current jerseys right now are weak, and I think they're going to want to change it in a few years, and they'll probably go with whatever their alternate is next season.
TC?
I'm going to go fake, just based exclusively off their alternate history. You have the checkerboard, which wasn't a bad jersey, but it's not something to base a primary set around. And then you have the mustard tiger, which is one of the most abhorrently awful jerseys to ever be worn in the NHL.
That one's growing on me. I'm surprised, but that one's growing on me.
You've been spending too much time with Shawn. If you enjoy
Oh,
that.
TC, you're just a mustard tiger. That's what you are.
Come out here, kicking Ricky's car.
All I did was call TC a mustard tiger, and then he's on top of Ryan's car with a hockey stick. Oh, no mustard there. You're a mustard tiger.
All right, I'm going to go with, I'm going to say the statement is fake. Nashville has let us down in the Adidas era, and I don't see why they won't do it again for their alternate next season. So I'm going to go fake on that one. That was fake or authentic. It's pretty simple, pretty easy to play along. Don't forget to look for the home edition on Toys R Us shelves near you. We're moving on now to the HJC Mailbag. Mailbag. And actually, the Canadian wing of Toys R Us, they're trying to save it. Some toy companies are jumping in because apparently that's still profitable. Not the 100 or so stores in the States or whatever it is, 300 stores. But
we have like 10 here.
Yeah.
Like 8 in Toronto, 1 in Nova Scotia, and 1 in Vancouver. And it's like, nope, that makes money.
The smattering.
Officially known as Toys Were Us now.
Not anymore. Now they're selling ladies' undergarments. That's not true. Don't quote me on that.
Victoria's Secret. She owns Toys R Us now.
This qualifies slander.
All right, let's go to the mailbag.
The views expressed in this podcast are not necessarily reflective of HJC on the whole. There, we're covered.
Let's go to the mailbag because the song's played, so we got to go to it now. I'm sure this was what left by one of our fantastic writers. This was earlier today. Is a tennis ball yellow or green? Shawn?
If you're playing hockey with a tennis ball, it should be black or brown because you flicked it around on the ground so much playing road hockey.
Well, that's not an option.
That answers the question. It's a yes or no question, and you just
tennis balls are
green,
and they smell great.
Oh God, they smell like dead goldfish when you open up the tin.
They smell amazing. Dead goldfish smells great.
Killing some goldfish just to take a whiff.
How have you been killing your goldfish, Ryan?
Quote of the show is, dead goldfish.
Let's go to Ben to find out what color a tennis ball is. Yellow or green, Ben?
Tennis balls are the Bepo of sports equipment because they just sit on the fence. Go either way. But I think they're green. I don't know. We might need a color expert on the show for clarification.
Yeah, have fun at the Pittsburgh game, Bepo.
Jeez, the guy's got season tickets. I guess if your mom has season tickets and you got to take your mom out once a week, that's how you end up at so many games. But I think he lives at PPG Paints Arena or whatever it's called this week. Anyways, let's go to TC. Tennis ball, yellow, green?
Yeller. I'd say they're yellow.
Tennis balls are yellow.
Because
down in the south.
I just don't think that if you're playing on... It's a neon yellow, Shawn.
You're just saying that because you got the Atlanta Hawks around there, and they wear Volt green. Green?
Yes, which is a darker color
it's the same.
No. What? I don't know how they make tennis balls up in Canada, but down here in Freedom Land, we got yellow.
Yeller.
Yeah, Yeller.
Tell you what.
You know what? Tennis balls are green to me, but if I'm using them for a game of road hockey, I'd like to find. You used to be able to find orange tennis balls. Now that just might be back in the day. But I used to be able to find orange tennis balls, and those ones were the best for road hockey. I can't explain why. It may have just been because I was 12 and 13 and thought they were the best, but they were the best. So tennis balls are green, but if you can find orange tennis balls, use those for road hockey.
Roger Federer says they're yellow.
What does Roger Federer know? What has he ever done?
He's fondled more tennis balls than you.
Roger Federer never played road hockey.
He is an exceptional ball handler, though, and ball whacker, too. He's pretty good at those. Let's go to the next question. This came in exactly a month ago from Alan H. He goes along the lines of first time caller, long time reader, but he wanted to let us know that he's been reading since February 2011 and concept contributor since April 2011. So, Alan, yes, you are recognized as probably one of the longest standing HJC contributors.
I've been here longer than you, Alan.
So Shawn wins no prizes. And Alan,
I win no prize, and Ryan just feels upset that I'm still here.
But
all right,
Alan actually knows what a woman's touch feels like. So who's the real winner?
So let's go to Alan's question. If the Canadian Women's Hockey League decided to add 2 more teams, name 2 locations. Now, he's restricted it to 1 in Ontario and 1 to somewhere in Canada. But, I mean, Shawn, you choose some Canadian locations. Ben, TC, you go with the NWHL and choose 2 U.S. cities that would be ideal for women's hockey. Shawn, start with you.
I'm putting it in 2 Atlantic hockey hotbeds. And that's Halifax and St. John's, because I think that both those cities will support any hockey team that's there. And on top of that, I think that because they currently now rely on minor and major junior hockey, they don't get a full schedule, so they have the room for it.
All right, Ben, city the NWHL could expand to.
I don't know. The NWHL isn't much of a following right now, so it'd probably have to be in a bigger city. I would think Chicago. It's the 3rd largest city in the U.S. There's probably somebody there that wants to watch.
Atlanta Lady Thrashers.
That's so offensive. If you put a team there and call them the Lady...
that's offensive? Just wait for me to name mine.
Let's go to TC to offend women everywhere. Go ahead, TC.
I think we should go to a city with fantastic hockey past and name them the Detroit Mufflers.
Well, that has to happen. I mean,
that's...
Listen, if you're listening to the podcast this week, let's see as many Detroit Mufflers concepts for the NWHL as you can think of. Start on that right now, everyone.
And this is when the protests start.
Oh boy, that is fantastic.
There we go. The NWHL, home of the Pride, the Whale, the Riveters, the Buttes, the Lady Thrashers, and the
Mufflers. Oh man.
I can see their mascot now. It's just a guy with a bunch of fucking afro wigs duct taped to him.
Oh boy. All right, get your Mufflers concepts in. I gotta see this. There's no point in me even answering Alan's question because nothing can top the Detroit Mufflers of the NWHL. Oh, jeez. All 2 women who listen to our podcast have just turned it right off right now. They're done.
They turned it off at Yari Cummings last week, I'll tell you.
These boys started talking about my favorite league, and then they told him that they were going to bring in the Lady Thrashers and the Detroit Mufflers. That's so inappropriate. I don't like it. I'm not listening anymore. That was maybe the greatest mailbag that we've done. Let's move on and wrap it up before we say anything too stupid here. Well, first off, everyone, thanks for joining me. We had a blast. We had a great time this week. One of the better podcasts. If you want to get involved in the podcast and leave your ideas, you can always email us concepts@hockeyjerseyconcepts.com. And going back to the mailbag, if you want to leave your questions in the mailbag for us to make fun of and answer inappropriately on a future episode, there is the form on the side of the page. You can also go to hockeyjerseyconcepts.com and click the podcast tab. It's on that page as well. Or you can just email your mailbag questions in mailbag@hockeyjerseyconcepts.com. And going on the blog, we have our winner of the season. That was the Orlando Solar Bears. And in charge of that team was Thursday's writer, Justin B. So congratulations, Justin, and your Orlando Solar Bears. Also coming up, we have a new competition, finally, the Color Swatch competition. So head on over to the blog to check that out. Concept of the week vote is up, 5 entries up for you to choose. Shawn, you got any information? Did Steve pass on any information about Jersey Casual shirts or anything?
There is nothing to my knowledge, but there are designs in the work, particularly, I think, one for a former NHL city.
And
that's all I know.
And there's a ton of designs up available. Just hit the shop tab on the blog, and you'll be able to get those there. Plus the HJC stickers. And remember, as we mentioned earlier in the podcast, be on the lookout for that tweet, because this week we're giving away a special edition Jersey Casual sticker as our free jersey giveaway, or a free sticker giveaway. We're not giving away free jerseys. God, no. What we need is feedback. We'd love to hear feedback from everybody on what you like about the podcast, what you don't like, how much you hate us. And you can do that by leaving comments to concepts@hockeyjerseyconcepts.com. Be sure to share the podcast on the internet, Twitter, Facebook. Let people know about it. We'd love to get more listeners. That's all we got for today. Thanks for listening. Goodbye, everybody.